The drinks are good tonight.
They were good.
I'm impressed. Did well.
Had a good idea. It was a good idea.
It's all because I was wanting peach rings as a snack, and I wasn't planning on buying anything for tonight. And I was like, and Luke that works at the liquor store, he was like, "What are you making tonight?" And I said, "Probably just use something we've already got." And then I looked down at the peach rings, and I was like, "Or we'll get wild with it."
So, what if you just like dunk the peach ring in it, and then like
We're out of peach rings after this, so this is our last garnish. So because I wanted to eat the bag.
That is fair. I'm just curious what it tastes like after. Because I mean, obviously you're gonna lose all the
Sugary stuff.
sugary stuff on it.
Oh, we'll find
But
out.
it's gonna soak in some alcohol.
I wish it was hallucinogenic, like the worm at the bottom of like homemade mezcal.
we still I still haven't bought that stuff for the mead. I'm still curious about that.
Yeah, I mean, I might be willing to make some with you. We might have to make some on air since we got a new table and we're
We got a new
standing up now.
table. Yeah.
This is all pre-introduction stuff. So I posted this already, but we're drinking. We'll talk about it later again. But the cocktail of the night is peach old fashions. It was real easy. It was Old Smoky peach whiskey, 3 ounces, an ounce of agave nectar because for some reason I feel like it's healthier than simple syrup. Some orange bitters. You'll need a shaker with some ice in it, and you combine it all, and
you get something incredibly delicious.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's super good.
And you garnish it with a peach ring or a peach slice. I didn't have access to fresh peaches, so I didn't do that. But it's awesome. Fucking good.
Killer.
Drink it.
You know, I guess we're just skipping an intro. Just fucking intro. And we're just here. We already talked about the drinks.
Oh, we can
fucking intro.
We can do an intro, and then we'll just be like, for reference on these drinks, you can listen to
the first 30 seconds.
See what we did. I just gave us more content because now we can snip this and we can start a drink recipe catalog.
Yeah.
Where they have to go listen to something else to find the drink recipe.
Oh shit. Like, oh yeah, we made this on episode 24. I think we're on 24.
Yeah.
And just go back there, listen to that podcast, and you'll get the recipe.
And you'll also get the inside scoop on our little gimmick that we're about to start running on y'all. Because it's all part of this.
What gimmick? We have a gimmick?
The fact that they have to listen to something else to find the, find the drink recipes now.
I was like, fuck, I didn't know we were doing the
welcome
gimmick.
To the fucking gimmick. Also, welcome to the Sip It and Rip It podcast. I'm Zach. He's Nathan. You can find me at ZG _Summer Shred Journey.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find him at Nathan Skedios. You can find the podcast at Sip It and Rip It on Instagram.
TikTok.
Rate us 5 stars on Spotify and Apple Music or Apple Podcasts, whatever the fuck it is.
I guess it's Apple Podcasts, even though it's all the same thing.
Apple.
It's Apple product.
Yeah.
But
the Apple thing, give us 5 stars.
Just you don't even have to listen to the podcast. All we really need you to do is download it and rate it 5 stars. You don't even have to listen to it.
You don't even have to listen. Just give us just do us a favor.
Yeah, it's real simple.
Download it and rate it.
That's easy.
No problem.
So we already talked about drinks.
Well, we kind of did. We got peach old fashions tonight. If you want the recipe, we're going to start a catalog of recipes for you guys to listen to. That being said, almost all of them are some type of variation of an old fashioned. So I hope you like whiskey.
Well, we've done a couple different ones.
We've done some rum old fashions.
No, we did like a tequila something, didn't we?
We've had tequila in here before.
Yeah.
I just don't remember what it was.
I don't either.
It wasn't an old fashioned.
It wasn't an old fashioned. That's what I'm saying. It's not all old fashioned.
Not all. I'd be okay with like a Kentucky Mule. I won't do a Moscow Mule because I don't like vodka, but be okay with like a Kentucky Mule or even like a Paloma, something like that.
I can't remember the name of it, but I saw something. It was like espresso and whiskey and a little bit of creamer.
That's probably good.
It wasn't. They didn't use creamer. They used heavy cream, but I would just put creamer in it, or that
like an Irish whiskey recipe.
Maybe that's what it was. It was like Irish coffee. Is
Irish
that what they call it?
Or Irish coffee recipe, yeah.
That sounded interesting, but it's specifically called for espresso, and I was just kind of like, I wonder if it'd be too overbearing to use that coffee rum.
Yeah, a lot
espresso.
of coffee.
But I like the taste of coffee. That and like either creamer or that cream liqueur, or maybe a little both.
Well, we made the rum old fashions with the chocolate bitters last podcast when Elizabeth was here. I accidentally used the coffee rum instead of the black rum, not paying attention.
Yeah.
And we ended up putting some Disaronno cream liqueur on top of it, and it ended up being pretty fucking good.
Yeah. I liked it better without the cream liqueur, but I think the cream liqueur, it mellowed it out basically. Like it got rid of a lot of the hard coffee flavor,
Yeah,
which
just
was
the
what I
old
really
fashioned
liked.
was like just old fashioned was pretty strong with coffee.
Yeah, which I really enjoyed because I like coffee.
Yeah, it wasn't bad, not at all.
So, gym this week.
Gym was good. Still on RP bodybuild, the RP hypertrophy app.
Mhm.
It's nice. Trying to rebuild a squat.
Same. Not quite to the same extent, but
Not particularly fun, but otherwise, pretty strong week. Good week. Started the Carbon Diet app for my nutrition. Also pretty solid. I like it. I like things that give me metrics, and it gives me metrics, and that keeps me motivated. So
that makes sense.
I like numbers, and I like being able to see them. And I think my problem with MyFitnessPal is there are no metrics. It's just, did you log today or did you not log today? That's
Right.
it. So Carbon gives you metrics. I like metrics. So
diet for me is like, I'm going to log everything in MyFitnessPal for one day, and I'm just going to eat that. Like that's just all I do. I eat the same thing all the time.
log
At
it
least
the
Monday
first
through
time of the
Friday.
week, and then
Not even first time of the week. Like I'll just eat the same thing for months on end.
that's fair.
For at least 5 days a week. And then everything else I kind of like for the weekends, I usually just try to be intuitive when I eat.
Fair.
Except for
Makes
this
sense.
past weekend because we had the baby shower, the family baby shower, and there was cake, which I only had like 2 bites of it because it was trash.
I'm not gonna lie to you, our baby shower cake's gonna be fucking awesome. Because I don't know if you had our gender reveal cake, but it was stupid good.
If she's making it again, then I'm going to definitely get these.
Yeah, you need to. It had to be egg free for Sandy, but mom's substitution for eggs was like Greek yogurt, so it ended up just being this ridiculously moist, like it wasn't even cake like in texture. It like fell apart. It was like a trashy cake, and if you wanted it to look good, it wasn't your cake.
Right.
God damn, did it taste good?
Hey, I'm not much of a aesthetics person. I'd much rather it taste good.
I mean, as soon as you sliced it, it just like fell apart. But man, it was almost like half cooked cake batter. The whole thing was. It was fucking awesome. It was amazing. I think she's doing it again for us, so it was really good. But
was it like a vanilla cake?
yeah, I think it was like a standard yellow cake or vanilla cake or something like
Yeah.
that. But it wasn't anything special. But like I said, everything has to be egg free because of Sandy's allergy now. So
yeah,
solid though.
My gym week was pretty good. My 3rd week with Joe, I just doing a lot of GPP stuff, and it's really intense. A lot of 90-second, 60-second. Yeah, I mean, some 10-second rest. And that's really challenging. It's the one thing specifically, it's like 4 sets of 12 dumbbell flies on a yoga ball in a glute bridge with 10 seconds. Kind of really challenging.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess he's
Just-
trying to get you over that gluteal amnesia, isn't he?
Yeah, well, I mean that came in from the start, and I don't know if he had a hunch or not, but we only recently talked about the gluteal amnesia this week, which he's got me some homework to do on that. But I meant to do it yesterday and I didn't. I need to do it tonight and tomorrow, and kind of like on all my non-lifting days, just to kind of like get an idea of where my glutes are because I can't feel them. But I did have a really good experience today. I normally don't work out on Sundays, but Friday I felt like dog shit, so I went today. And I had a dumbbell bench press at a slight incline. Well, at Hartsel, they have that one bench that sits up a little higher. So when I got in it, I could get into a really good bridge position. So I was like, I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to go ahead because I couldn't really get into a good glute bridge position on the yoga ball. But on that, I could, and I don't know why. So I did. And man, like immediately after, like when I got home, I got in the shower and I was like, oh my God, like this is uncomfortable, but it's a good thing because I can actually feel them when I'm doing it.
Good.
So I think that's one aspect that I'm going to try and do every single time that I have a dumbbell bench press at least. Other than that, everything else has been more of the same, just trying to get my GPP up and just trying to get my work capacity up, which I feel like I have decent work capacity, but he's showing me that it could be better.
It could be better.
It could always be better. So that was pretty much my week. Just GPP stuff, lots of warm-ups that don't feel like warm-ups, that feel more like hit workouts.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I don't know if I've said that on the podcast yet, but I know I've told you several times. I'm like, I'm freaking dying over here.
I actually, I did get to talk to a gentleman. He might actually help me advance my career in this, which is really good. But he is the strength and conditioning coach at for Hartsville City Schools. Like he basically has all boys 7th grade and up, regardless of sport. So if they're basketball, football, whatever, they come train with him. But he was telling me a really, really good approach, and I think Joe's done this a little bit with you, especially as a power lifter. But he's talking specifically about a locomotive athlete being a football player.
Yeah,
is really what he's talking about. Because the kids are less interested, and this is really true of us as powerlifters too. The kids are a little less interested in like boring unilateral work like lunges and split squats, and really don't want to do them in their main workout. He just makes them mandatory in the warm up.
Yeah, yeah.
But you know that, and I ended up doing that. Me and Sandy actually had a conversation before I even talked to him about, man, I suck at lunges. Maybe I just need to warm up with lunges, and just so I get them out of the way and they get done every lower body day.
Yeah,
no big deal. Right, so I wonder if Joe's almost doing that too with you. Is not only is it a warm up, it's obviously a really good warm up.
Yeah,
but he's also spending warm up time wisely on a movement that could actually yield some gains. I guess.
I think so. I think that's probably correct. I could ask him.
He's not using real training volume on it, but he is putting it in a place that can be useful.
Yeah.
Still.
And I mean, truthfully though, like I said, it feels like a hit workout. So I'm pouring sweat every single time I get done with my warm-ups, unless it's the stretching one. There's only one day that he lets me like do some actual stretching and stuff as my warm-up.
Yeah.
Like band pulls and stuff like that. But everything else is always just like walks, bike, or it's either walks or the bike, and then a million supersets of whatever I have to do that day. Like one day it's 15 reverse lunges and banded abductors, right? Out as abductors. I always get those mixed up. But yeah, so just like 10 sets of those, like in a superset, and it's like he gives me 90 seconds rest, and I'm like, I don't have time for 90 seconds rest, so I get like 30 or 45 sometimes, and it's just like, just got to power through it. It sucks.
That's a lot of fucking movement,
especially in a small period of time.
Yeah.
Like, and then he has me doing like 6 movements. I couldn't tell you all of them because I don't remember. I haven't gotten it down to a like, it's not just muscle memory at this point. I have to look at it every single time because it's like 6 movements. But after the first one, I usually can remember and kind of go from there. But there's a lot.
Sure.
There's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's going to be cool getting you go through this process with Joe, somebody that's such a heavy hitter. And, you know, it's also, you know, just goes to show you, Nathan's pretty advanced. It just shows you the power of a coach.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, just having a whole different world kind of, in a way, open up. Because it's like, I feel like I'm not, and he may even say this, because I saw him post something similar on his Instagram. He was like, it's not necessarily training for powerlifting, it's training to be an athlete. And that's kind of what he's focusing on primarily right now, is training to be an athlete. And then when we get closer to the meet, it's going to be more specific. It's going to be, you know, a lot more squat, bench, and deadlift days. But we'll see how that goes when we get there.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think that's smart. I think he's on the front end and on the cutting edge of powerlifting for a reason as a coach. So I wouldn't argue with him. I know you don't, but
yeah. I just give them the info and say, what do you want me to do with it? Like,
there's a very, you know, I know this as a coach, but there's a surprisingly large number of people that will ask you in great detail exactly what they need to do and then not do any of it, even if they're paying you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
there's a surprisingly large number that will do the exact opposite of what you tell them.
And then blame you on.
And then blame you at the end of the day as a coach.
It was interesting because I actually saw him post on his story today talking about red flags from clients.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah. So it's really funny that you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Is he what did he say? Like if he's in a call with somebody, like doing an interview basically or whatever.
He's not looking for them to be perfect, but he's just willing to. He needs them to be willing to try to be.
Yeah.
You know,
willing to follow. Just to follow through on what he wants, essentially. Yeah. Like that's And I feel like that's what most coaches want is just like, I'm going to give you stuff to do. I just want you to do it.
Some follow through. Yeah, absolutely. He was talking about specifically if you got somebody to come to you and say, I want to be the best in the world, and maybe X amount of things are good, but they party on the weekends, they don't sleep well, they don't do this, and they want to eat like shit about half the time. And you ask them if they can change that. If they just say no,
right,
or I can't, like,
I can't really work with you because that's what it's going to take to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I don't think a lot of people have a championship mindset at all.
I don't think so.
I think it's a hard thing to learn. I do think it can be learned.
I definitely
think it takes
so
getting
too.
your ass fucking kicked.
Yeah, I think
injuries like I've gone through, or like it takes some life lessons to figure that shit out.
I think a lot of it, like you said, specifically, it can be learned because I had an amount of drive, like in the gym, but I went there thinking, oh, if I do all these things will happen, and I enjoyed the gym in the early days, so I was just going because I liked it and it was fun. But I didn't have the mindset of I'm going to be the best. You know, I just kind of was there because I enjoyed it, because I wanted to look decent.
I mean, we can name 100 local athletes who we love dearly that, and including myself, that just aren't willing to change, or at least haven't mentally matured enough to make the change necessary to be. And for me, it'll just be going from intermediate to advanced, right? Like I'm never going to be a pro, but like we know for a long time on this podcast, we talked about it a lot. My unwillingness to permanently change a diet and like everyday lifestyle things holds me back tremendously.
Yeah.
Sometimes my unwillingness to do certain things in the gym, we just talked about like lunges and unilateral shit that I hate. Well, that's what I'm missing strength wise. Right. You know what I mean? Those are the things that I need help with. And your unwillingness to do something is absolutely going to be what holds you back.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that.
So just is what it is. So PR songs?
That was a pretty long tangent we went on.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's an important one.
Almost a whole topic there. You know?
Almost.
I was thinking, damn, are we just going to make this the whole topic for the day? Just talk about the mindset of a champion? Is that the episode?
I mean, it could be.
It could be. We haven't really decided on the topic. Really. But PR songs, I've got a couple. One that just popped up today that I was on my like, so apparently I liked it before. Is called "Worship Decay" by Silosis.
Okay, yeah, I think you did post it today. Yeah, I actually listened to that song not too terrible.
Yeah, it was on my story for my dumbbell presses. But I just heard it. It randomly came on, and I was like, this kind of slaps. It's kind of like I would call it heavier than metalcore, but it still has the same like melody as a metalcore, like the same chorus. You know what I mean?
Right.
The kind of the clean vocals, softer chorus, but it slaps.
Hell yeah, I'm about it. So I have a serious entry. I'm going to not so serious one for my second. Please End Me by Paleface. It's one of their new singles. It's fucking awesome.
I've heard of Paleface. I think Clay told me to listen.
Yeah, if you listen to him, you do have to listen. You do have to look up Paleface Swiss, but the name of the band's Paleface. But everything that's listed as Paleface Swiss. I'm not sure if there's an issue with trademark or something like that, but they're listed as Paleface Swiss. But Please End Me by Paleface. It's fucking awesome. So listen to it.
Other one I'll put is I put Virgin's Crown on here a few times, I think.
Yeah, you like them.
And I'm hoping I didn't put this on last week because this was just saved on my thing. But normally I delete them after I say them. But The Breeding Process by Virgin's Crown.
I don't think you put that one.
I don't think so too. I know I put Erebus. Erebus is like my favorite song by them. It's the same album, just fucking hard death metal. Like
hell yeah. So I'm gonna get on everybody's nerves with a not very serious one. This is both a dedication to the drink we're drinking tonight and my wife's butt. It is Peaches by Jack Black.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I love it.
So, and it's time for our second drink. We're going to do a new thing where we mix our second round right here on the podcast with you guys. So.
Yeah, I guess I'm pretty close to being out too.
Yep. So I'm going to take my last one and we'll mix one up. All right, we're not going to reveal the recipe.
You should have listened to it at the beginning of the podcast.
Should have. And it may be in another place for you guys. We might do a whole, separate listing for drink recipes.
I wonder if we could do a whole episode. Like, let's say, when I list it on, oh shit.
Oh
shit.
Oh fuck.
Well,
we ain't gotta worry about our secret getting out on the
no, I'm just gonna take some every
peaches.
Okay.
I love
Weird.
you.
I think this is the most technical difficulties we've had on an episode ever.
Ever? Yeah.
Ever.
But I mean, we made big changes. We obviously have a table now, so we're
Yep.
standing. Had to move microphones.
Got a new
We got
microphone.
some new mic. You're not gonna shake that. Normally you'd shake these up and down, by the way, but we don't want to make a mess in here. Yeah, what else did we do? Move microphones around. That means we had to move the camera around,
Yeah.
which means, it means a lot of things. And we had to assemble a table.
We did. We've done a lot today. That's why we're having 2 drinks.
Yep, that's the reason why we're having to. Apart from the aesthetics, kind of cool.
The aesthetic is pretty cool.
Can't lie to you. We may need some paper towels. That may be the.
That will be off camera. We'll get some off camera.
We'll get some
set them
paper-
off to the
yeah.
side and
Unless Bounty want to give us some money or something.
Bounty, hey, sponsor us. We'll put you right in front.
I feel like since it's sticky, we probably need some baby wipes.
Do you have
We
baby
both got
wipes?
kids on the way.
I do definitely have baby wipes.
I mean, I don't know. What's the brand of baby wipes?
Pampers does them. Huggies does them.
Pampers.
Shit, I can't think of any other. There's dude wipes.
Yeah, I mean, that's what conventional pullers use, right?
Probably.
I guess the sumo guys probably use Pampers for that chapped ass. Because they be losing mates and shit all the time.
I mean, there are some strong sumo pullers.
We can name 3 in the world.
Dan Grigsby.
Jamal
Staples.
Browner.
Technically, Joe Sullivan pulls sumo.
Technically, he does.
Doesn't
Derek Thistlethwaite, maybe.
Yeah, I was about to say Derek.
The one that nobody wants to mention.
Yeah, he's kind of been an asshole lately, hasn't he? Like, I don't know why. I don't know what his deal is, but he's been like,
I ain't bringing no heat to this podcast. That's for sure.
Hey,
He'll make us cry.
Listen, if he wants to roast the podcast,
it can only be good for us.
it's only publicity for us.
I mean, he out totals us both combined, just about.
I don't think so.
I mean, I'm pretty broken right now.
you could pull 1,000. You could get 1,000.
I mean, shit. I mean, I had a 1,200-pound CrossFit total the other day. I'm pretty sure
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I can probably put together 14 or 15.
if you put together 14 or 15, I put together 16 or 17.
We can beat him
Together. Only by the powers combined.
Fucking Captain Planet over here.
Hey, that's what it takes. That's what it takes.
Yeah, pretty average by comparison.
You wouldn't.
Youngest man ever to total 2,200, I think.
Probably.
I think he is.
Probably.
That's ironic that you answered that with probably.
I didn't even think about that, but probably. Yeah. I was gonna say you wouldn't, Captain Planet, but you wouldn't get it. But the fusion technique from Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, I fucking hate anime.
But
That being said, that is a segue because we already talked about gym goals. So and maybe this is a good segue into what we're talking about because we kind of planned on talking about goal orientation and then how to adjust for a busy schedule, right? That's kind of
yeah.
what
So
we
yeah.
But one thing that I'm doing currently, and this is more personal development than it is powerlifting, is me and my wife are putting together a vision board, which I know that sounds really fucking cheesy.
I don't even know what it is.
So a vision board is all like short-term and long-term goals that you want to achieve. So
Okay.
for right now, there's other things that's going to go on my vision board. But for right now, I have 2 kind of major ones. I have my own personal, not commercial gym space, but powerlifting gym space. So I have a picture of a powerlifting gym cut out and posted to the board.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is I want a Hellcat car. It's a long way away from making that much money, right? So that's on the bigger end of the board. And then on the shorter term end of my board is I want to be debt free.
Right.
So one of the things though was physique goals, right? So I really like a strongman body type, and we went to Books a Millions to kind of search for magazines that had these visions of ours or dreams of ours in them, so we could cut them out and put them on our vision board. And there's a surprisingly low number of fitness magazines in existence now.
I wouldn't
it's
say
kind of disturbing.
I wouldn't say that's surprising because magazines in general
aren't getting printed, but it was still a disturbingly low number of
right.
like.
And it's all probably like swimsuit models.
So
right?
I had the idea, and I ended up not buying one of these either because I thought I had a bunch at home, but it may have gotten damaged in the hailstorm a few years back. But pulling one out of Nathan's playbook right here, I have decided. Do you know who happens to be 6'3" and 260 pounds in the same frame as I am? One of the greatest comic book characters of all time. One Eddie Brock or Venom.
Yeah,
So I have decided that Venom is my ideal physique with all this stuff.
You know,
and
that
I plan on
makes
putting
sense.
Venom on my vision board as my ideal physique.
It makes sense now. I saw you post Venom on your Instagram, and I was like, "Huh? I wonder if he like picked up a random."
I had that comic,
book.
and I was looking for it, and I think it was one that I had to throw away because of the hailstorm. It got water damage or something. But I had that issue of Lethal Protector I used to own, and I was looking for it and couldn't find it. And found, just did a Google search and found the images or whatever. But yeah, name a superhero with better quads than Venom.
You know,
I don't think it can be done.
Yeah, a lot of it
fucking thunder thighs, dude.
a lot of it does
time.
depend on the artist, but Venom is always like huge, right?
Absolutely fucking jacked.
like.
The only time the symbiote's not kind of jacked when he's on Peter Parker. And he's like skinny Jack still. But not like, but he's not like Venom, like traditional Venom. Jack.
There's another, was it Anti-Venom?
Yeah, is that not Flash Thompson?
I think that
an
is
athlete
Flash
too.
Thompson.
That wasn't Eddie Brock. I think that is Flash Thompson. But yeah, Eddie Brock's Venom, absolute fucking unit. Which is also why I'm disappointed in both Topher Grace and as much as I love Tom Hardy.
He was
a better casting than
he was a better casting, but he wasn't big.
He should have been like Bane big for Venom, and he wasn't.
Truthfully, though, when he talked about being Bane big, he talked about like how he felt just fat. He didn't feel big. He felt fat. He looked big on screen.
He was fucking yoked.
But he was like, I just felt.
He was
fat.
Hollywood yoked anyway. Yeah. You know how all those guys are a lot smaller in person than they actually are. He was also huge in Warrior. I don't know if you ever watched Warrior.
Was that the boxing movie?
That was a MMA movie. Him and his brother end up fighting each other at the end of the movie.
Yeah, I haven't watched it.
He's kind of the villain in that movie, but he's a really good villain in that movie. Awesome movie. He was absolutely fucking yoked in it too. But not so much as Eddie Brock for some reason.
Yeah. Well, 260 for an actor to be 260.
I was going to say the comic book stature, and you can look this up, for Eddie Brock and Venom was 6'3" and 260 pounds.
Yeah.
Which I happen to be 6'2", but
close.
Yeah.
Interesting that he's so much heavier than Bruce Wayne, because Bruce Wayne's like 220.
Yeah, I mean,
but I guess if you look at it from like a fighting perspective, right, you do want to be a little leaner, a little faster.
Eddie Brock was a really fucking good, really good athlete, but he wasn't like
he wasn't a fighter.
He wasn't a fighter necessarily. You know what I mean?
Whereas
he was kind of a crazy person, but he wasn't necessarily a fighter. You know what I mean? So
he was a bully.
The symbiote makes him a fighter, but yeah, Eddie Brock. That's it, man.
That makes sense. So busy schedule, right? That's what we were talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I have some opinions about this. The rest of the fitness world isn't going to have. I think it'll surprise you.
So I was just going to shout out Anthony because he kind of was the one who brought it up because he was having a lot of overtime at work. Do you remember his last name, Anthony? I can't remember. Anthony James?
That's his middle name. I think his last name is Italian. I think it's a yellow or something like that. It's Aiello.
Okay, I guess I've never gotten his last name. I guess he just goes by Anthony James on Instagram.
Yeah,
so you can look him up. He's also absolutely jacked.
He's a big kid. He's extremely strong. I'm training him now.
Really
Fucking
good
unit.
really good guy. Probably has a really good career in powerlifting if he decides to pursue it, which I'm thinking he will.
I mean, we're pursuing our immediate 8-week goal is a 500-pound Zercher squat.
Yeah, which is very unique. Not a lot of people want to do that, but I think that's why he wants
I
to
can
do it.
count some really good powerlifters, and Austin probably included. I can count on one hand how many people I've seen in person front squat over 400 pounds,
Mhm.
let alone Zercher 5.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's pretty elite company if he ends up Zerchering 500 pounds.
Which is only 25 pounds off his best. And I think getting his form corrected, which I've already noticed a huge difference.
We've done that. Well, I worked with him last Saturday night, a week from yesterday, and he was doing some things to accommodate some old injuries that I just don't think they were necessary anymore. And now that we've adjusted them, I think that he's just going to be an absolute just fucking unit.
Yeah. He'll probably get that 500 Zercher pretty quick.
Yeah.
But he was talking about how he felt like he wasn't performing as well in the gym while working overtime, which makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he asked me the question. He was like, and he brought this up. He was like, "Do you think you can talk about it on the podcast?" And I was like, "Well, I can answer all the questions right now, but if you want us to talk about it, I'll talk to Zach." And I guess that's what we decided on. But specifically. Here's the big thing, especially if it's a manual labor job, you're still expending energy. Yeah. If you are not recovering and eating and sleeping to recover, like get that energy back, of course you're going to perform worse. Yeah. Like you just are not as recovered to get in there. So when you have a manual labor job specifically, you do have to take that into consideration when you're programming somebody or if you're programming yourself. So that's, if you look at I think it's the Juggernaut app, which this is one of the things they did do right, was they ask you, what is your work like? How stressed are you at work from a physical standpoint? That's very important when you're calculating your MRV.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think the exception really being, and let me tell you something when I say this, especially and I don't want to sound political when I say this, but being completely honest, here in the South, it's rare that white people work a manual labor job anymore, a truly manual labor job anymore. Like it is, it is, it is what it is. You can say what you want to. I know we're still mostly blue collar, but when it comes to it's not the same. Our manual labor now is not the same manual labor my granddad did in the steel mill 60 years ago, and it's not. You can't, can't tell me it is. First of all, technology is advanced that we don't have to do the same things my granddad had to do. So it is what it is. But, I'm not sure that we're working as hard as we used to in general. But overtime tends to be the problem. But it's typically not, for me, it's not, and this is where my hot take's about to come in. It's typically not somebody like Anthony that's just having to happen to work overtime at the moment and having hard time training and training well. I don't really find necessarily a problem with that. I think that can be adjusted. Like I said, as his coach, I can pull percentages back or RPE back. I could just pull volume back. There's a lot of ways that I could address that personally, and then he could address it with more food, more sleep. Right? Like, gonna have to cut out some bullshit. Don't go play video games with your friends. Don't go to the club. Don't go out drinking. Like, stay home, get your sleep, make sure you get plenty of food. Training will be there. Ain't no big deal. And then I'll do my part as a coach and pull volume or RPE back, whatever it happens to be. Personally, I think that volume is the answer. It's the biggest driver of fatigue. So, I would rather see that pulled back than that top set pulled back. Personally. Right. But, there's a lot of ways to address that. My hot take is this. The vast majority of people, 99.9% of people, are not in Anthony's situation. And their work isn't affecting their training as much as they like to fucking think it is.
The only thing I would say, as far as sedentary people's work, they may have to stretch more because they're sitting more, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd have more active and more dynamic warm-ups in their routine. Yeah,
so the front end. So their overtime is affecting them negatively in a different way.
It is.
So they're becoming more stiff, more immobile.
My injury problems didn't start until I worked a desk job for a few years where I was in a desk, sitting at a desk 6 of the 9 hours a day I worked.
Right.
So that's definitely a different type of problem. But again, it could have been alleviated with me walking a dynamic warm up before my workout. Getting up. People say this, but get up and walk 5 minutes every hour.
Mhm.
It wasn't that hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was answering phone calls. The phone wasn't ringing. I wasn't working. So
Right.
like I could get up at any moment and go, take that 5 minute walk or whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? So just off the cuff, I find it hard to believe that people are actually working so hard that it's genuinely affecting their training.
I definitely agree.
Um,
That's just because the work, like you said, the work lately is just not.
It's not the same.
It's not the same, right? Even like you said, manual labor. Like my job would be considered like half manual labor and half working at a desk because I work on a computer for most. Like I work on a computer, logging information, researching things. But I do have to get up, go to physical locations. I have to walk or I have to drive a machine to get there. So I do some amount of movement in the day and I stand all day, but I am sedentary in the fact that I am at a desk. Technically, it is a stand desk, like I said, but I'm just standing there for a good 5 to 6 hours out of my day.
Yeah, and out of about 10 or 11 hour work day most of them.
10.
So I mean, that's half your work day. I wouldn't necessarily call it sedentary because you're not sitting, but
Right. But it's still
but less than optimal for
less active.
But I don't know what Anthony's job is, and it may very well be physical. I do have my best friend works construction. His job definitely, depending on what he's doing that day, takes a toll on his ability to train.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what Justin's done in the past. That's one of the most egregiously strong people I have ever met before in my life, and honestly trains so egregiously stupid that I don't know. I don't know how it's ever worked out for him. That being said, though, one thing that he does really smart is when he was in the gym and training regularly, he knew that his job took a lot out of him.
Mm-hmm.
So he trained before he went to work.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And it meant getting up a little bit earlier and going to bed a little earlier. But no training quality was affected, even though his day was harder because he was doing it on the front end. That's a very, very simple task. Most people that are running into this problem in the here and now, and I'm not saying Anthony doesn't have a legitimate problem with this, because overtime does change things a little bit. If you're working 4 or 5 hours over every day, that's hard on anybody, regardless of what type of job you have. If nothing else, it's mentally stressful, and that does affect your MRV as well.
Yes.
But you're just your normal 40 hours a week. People aren't willing enough to adjust their lifestyle to adapt to training and expect training to just adapt to their lifestyle.
Right.
And that just rarely ever fucking happens.
The only way that could possibly happen is if you get a work from home job and you can have
you can work out in the middle of the day. Or
you can set up a home gym and you can work in between the tasks that you do and stuff like that. Very rarely is that ever going to be.
That's a pretty large fucking privilege, to be honest with you.
That is a huge privilege. And most people, let's be honest, most people who work from home, they're not going to have a home gym and they're not going to.
I only have an hour to work out after my shift, and I have to do this, and this, and then by the time I get to the gym, I only have 45 minutes. I can go before.
Yeah.
At this point, it's
the thing about going before is the commitment to waking up early.
But most people I own my own business now, and if anybody had to be up early, it'd be me, right?
Mm-hmm.
But my job starts at 6:45. Man, being at the gym by 5 is not that big of a deal. I'm fucking old now. I'm in bed by 8:30, 9 o'clock most of the time anyway.
Yeah.
I can just wake up. I'm also, though, well, I'm not very disciplined about diet. I'm not very disciplined about, we've already talked about this, about doing the things I don't necessarily want to do in the gym. I never miss a workout. I could have the fucking flu and I wouldn't miss a workout. Discipline is not, in terms of showing up and consistency, is not a fucking issue for me. I'd wake up at fucking midnight to go lift if it meant getting to lift versus not getting to lift.
Yeah.
I mean, but I honestly think the main problem people need to address when it comes to working things around a busy schedule isn't their busy schedule, it's their attitude about their busy schedule.
That makes a lot of sense too, because a lot of people complain. Well, there's two sides, right? There's the side that says everybody has the same 24 hours, and some people say it's not equal because I have to do this, this, and this. Well, yes, you do have to do this and this and this. How much time do you have?
Everybody's got something to do. That's not a fucking excuse.
Yeah.
Everybody, only real legitimate answer is everybody's got 24 hours.
Yeah.
Perfect example. We have a good friend. Y'all have heard her on the podcast before, and Elizabeth, single mom, business owner, works her ass off. She was in a situation where she couldn't really get to the gym as much anymore. And you know what she did? She didn't fucking quit. She hit her coach up, me, and said, hey, I need 3 workouts a week I can do at home and 3 I can go do in the gym. And I only make it to the gym 3 days a week. Well, guess what we did? She works out at home 3 days a week. Fucking problem solved.
Yeah.
That's somebody that knows the value of what we're doing and is willing to adjust their own shit to accommodate their goals and their needs.
Right.
People's attitudes about this isn't necessarily Anthony. I know, like I said, overtime is a one of those factors that do change things. But most people working a 40-hour week job, it's their attitude that needs to be fixed first, not their job, not their training, nothing else. It's their attitude about training.
Yeah.
Period.
No, I would definitely agree. I guess coming from my standpoint, I work a second shift job, so there is only the option to go before work.
And that's a good option. That's my preferred option as a coach.
Yeah. So I can't go after, because if I go after, I get off work at 2 a.m. There's no way I'm
be
going
in the gym till fucking 4 or 5.
And then get home and go to bed. That's
be weaker than puppy piss at 2 in the morning.
That would be the worst. And I always, I have a little bit of energy at the end of the night. I always get that little second rush. But by the time I get home and I eat, I'm pretty done. Yeah. Like it doesn't take long for me to be like, all right, it's time to go to bed. So now when I work a first shift job, if I get off at a decent time, I do not mind going to the gym after.
Right.
And it's usually sucks because it's like 4 or 5 o'clock, right? So right. You get there, it's busy, it sucks, but you just make it work.
Yeah, I mean, you just fucking do it. And I realize to a lot of people this sounds like I'm minimizing your problems, but let me tell you something. You maximize your problems. Yeah. Like all of us, listen, I'm a business owner. We just talked about Elizabeth's her business owner. If you're working a 9 to 5 for somebody else, your life's not that fucking stressful.
Yeah.
It's not. When you're on the clock 24/7 because you're your own business owner, that's fucking stressful. And I'm not saying entrepreneurs are the only people that we have a monopoly on stress, because I know that we don't. But you look at that versus like my wife's job. My wife used to be an engineer, and now she's a plant manager. Her life as an engineer was much, much easier in terms of stress than her life as a manager.
Because now she's salary. Now she's can get a phone call at any moment, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And like that's one of those things, and not to mention all those things, but she's got 100 other people she has to take care of too, and their well-being. Their livelihood depend on the decisions that she makes and makes well. That's a lot. That's a high stress job. Yeah. 9 out of 10 of us are entrepreneurs, and we don't have that level of a job. Period. Your life's not as stressful as you think it is. No. You work 12 hours in the hospital. I know that sucks. Fucking people die on you. You have to wipe asses. You probably get attached to people, and you have to deal with death. You have to deal with people delivering bad news, stuff like that. That sucks.
You have to deal with abuse. Yeah,
you have to deal with abuse. I mean, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things in that. But at some point, you have to say, what do I want? And you will accommodate for things that you actually want. You won't make excuses for something that you actually want.
Specifically, my girlfriend Desi,
she's worked hard for me for a long time.
Yeah,
despite a bad day.
312s didn't matter. Yeah. She was like, well, I got to work 3 12-hour shifts. She made the decision to go on her off days. 4 days a week is a good schedule. Yeah. So it's like, it's not that hard, right? Like if you only work 3 days a week, getting to the gym 4 times a week is super easy. You have 4 full days to make it there.
Yeah.
Like I work 4 10s. I have, I go on my work days, and my work days are go to the gym, go to work, come home and go to sleep.
Right.
Like I get 3 days to myself, and then I have 4 days that are packed. There's nothing else that can be done on my work days except for work, the gym. That's it.
No, that's what you plan for and accommodate for.
That's what I.
I realize too that most general fitness people aren't going to have this view, but everybody listening, you're probably a power lifter, bodybuilder, or strongman. You're probably doing something similar to me and Nathan. Those dreams don't. Oh shit. But those dreams can't just be put on pause. Like it's not a we can do it later type of thing.
You have to
Like
constantly be growing.
You have to constantly be getting better. You have to be constantly working at it, or it doesn't work. If you're unwilling to accommodate those things, then maybe you're unwilling to be a powerlifter, bodybuilder, or strongman,
or
anything.
You just don't want to excel at it. Maybe you want to do it for fun, and you know what? If you want to do it for fun, that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
No.
But if you want to excel at it, if you want to be, if you have, like we were talking about earlier, if you want to have that champion mindset and be the best that you can be, may not be the best in the world, but if you want to be the best that you can be, you have to commit to it.
Well, not to mention I promise you're only one ass beating away from wanting to be the best at it you can be.
That's absolutely true. You go to any powerlifting meet and you see the dude that's half your body weight squatting twice as much as you. You're like, oh man, like
you're only that's for real. You're only one ass beating away from saying, I no longer want to be average. I actually want to try this.
Yeah.
If you have any type of gumption or any type of guts at all, you're only one away from that happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. I'm not 100% sure that. Not say that it can't, but I'm not 100% sure that just doing it for fun really exists forever.
That's fair.
It might start that way.
Yeah.
When you're in the gym and you've never competed in front of anybody and you go months on end setting new PRs and posting them on your Instagram and getting love and everything for it. First time you step on the platform and some fucking 181 goes out and, benches your squat max, you're like, oh.
Yeah. It makes you feel a certain way. It makes you think. It kind of, I guess there's really like two types of people. There's the people that see that and go, well, I'll never be that good. And there's the people that go, how do I get that good? Yeah. Like those are the two people.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's really not a whole lot of in between. Like,
I don't think there's really a bad fault in being either one. I will say that the demographic, the people you're around, being around other powerlifters, you're probably more than likely going to find yourself wanting to be the best you can be more often than just being okay with being average.
Yeah. And I like you said, the environment makes a big difference because like if you're around a bunch of people who pat you on the back all the time and
that was a problem with the CrossFit environment. Yeah. It was like
just like, hey,
everybody got a slap on the ass and you did great. You did the best you could.
The best
did you
could.
Really though?
You did the best you could. Not the best. You did
we
the
don't
best
know what you ate
we
don't know what you fucking ate pre-training. We don't know how you slept last night. We don't know what your programming away from the CrossFit class looks like. We don't know what you're doing, in your life away from the gym, but attaboy, good job.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a fucking winner's mindset.
No, that's a pandering mindset.
Yeah. Well, you're pandering to keep people in your fucking shitty CrossFit gym.
Yeah. that's what it boils down to.
It's like, man, it almost feels like, and the gym that I was attending, and I don't know that I'll necessarily attend regularly because I feel like it really did get in the way of my bodybuilding and powerlifting goals. I think that they do a much better job than what I had classically experienced in a CrossFit gym. They are a little bit more informed. They're coaching people a little bit better, a little bit higher standard. And it doesn't seem like it's always attaboy, do a good job.
No.
But by and large, what I've seen has been
right.
I've never seen a powerlifting gym that, not to say that your peers aren't proud of you in a powerlifting gym, but I've never seen a powerlifting gym that didn't go, great job, but.
Right. Like if somebody sees fault somewhere, they're going to be like,
hey man, I know that's a 5-pound PR, but you could have done this, and this better. I think your triceps are weak, and that's the reason why it was slow at lockout.
Your butt came off.
You're slow out of the hole on the squat. And you need to work on this or that. I've never seen a good powerlifting environment that wasn't, congratulatory, but then immediately effectively, constructively criticizing you afterwards.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's, I think you have to adjust. Man, you have to adjust your mindset for that. That's also what makes you better.
Yeah.
Somebody stronger than you says, that's a great bench press, but you need to do this, this, and this. You shut up and you fucking listen.
Mm-hmm. More often than not.
You want to get better, let somebody better than you not tell you suck in a bad way, but let somebody remind you you're not as good as you think you are.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's a healthy thing.
Yeah.
Like it's important.
And worst case scenario, right? They say something and it kind of just like it rubs you the wrong way. Maybe it pisses you off. Maybe you just think.
I promise, as a powerlifter, they don't fucking care if it pisses you off.
well, here's the thing: if it pisses you off, you know, and you're like, "Fuck that guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm gonna bench better than he does." There's your drive to be better.
Go fucking do it, bro.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
think you can do it, then go do it. You know what I mean?
whether you're right or not, whether there is actually something that you know that he doesn't, you know, maybe he's just twice your size and can
but
bench
me
more than you.
and you have existed inside of a team before, and you know that if I come to you and I say that was great, but I'm not doing it to bust your balls.
Yeah,
I'm not doing it to be an asshole. Hell, half the time me and you send each other shit expecting the other one to bust the other one up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I want that, and that's how you get better.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes it does come from somebody you hate, but that's even fucking, for me, I'm very negatively motivated, so that's fucking fuel for fire.
yeah.
Fine,
But that's what
you know
I was
I mean?
getting
That's
at.
fine. You know
Like,
what I mean? Like,
if it pisses you off, it's probably going to
but-
push you forward.
but rarely ever does it piss me off if it comes from a teammate.
Yeah,
If you were Austin tells me, hey, this is fine, but you need to be better at this. No fucking skin off my teeth. Let's just go get better at it, and we'll do better next time.
yeah.
It's
That's
fine.
the
You know,
mindset to have.
It is.
I just don't think a lot of people have it. I think a lot of people get their feelings hurt, especially nowadays. And I think it's just the culture that the world has built is very sensitive. So when you try and explain, and it's really unfortunate that that's where we're at as a society, is that we're really sensitive, because there are so many people I see at the gym locally that I'm just like, they really need some help, but I don't want to. I don't want to.
You don't even want to be a nice guy and try to help them, because they're going to get fucking.
They're going to get their feelings hurt. They're going to get mad. They're going to tell you you're wrong. You're an asshole. You're just being mean to them. And it's like,
And then they're going to go to the gym staff and complain about you. And
like he said, my squat wasn't low enough. Well, it wasn't. You did a half squat. You could have gone lower. It would have been better for you from a hypertrophy standpoint, from a strength building standpoint. It would have been from a safety standpoint, because they would reduce your load because you're not strong enough to squat that weight. But they're just going to get their feelings hurt and they're going to complain and cry. So it's really unfortunate that that's where we're at in a general sense.
I think to kind of recap this whole section of this conversation, make sure before you ask for this advice, and Anthony, we know that you are coming from a genuine place. We don't think you're this person at all. But make sure, if you're one of these people that want to know what you can do about your busy schedule, make sure that your attitude's in the right place before you ask that fucking question.
Yeah. Make sure
you've done what you can do. And maybe you don't know to adjust your diet or adjust your volume. That's fine. But make sure you've adjusted what time of the day you've worked out and what time you do that. Make sure you've adjusted your own lifestyle and said, hey, I can't do early lunch with the homies because I got to go to the gym before work.
Yeah.
Or make sure you've done those things before you just say, fuck it, nothing's working.
Right.
What do I do? You know what I mean?
Right.
Something
Just
that,
like I guess people, the biggest thing is that people may not understand the concept of work affecting the gym. You know, whether it's sedentary, manual labor, like it's physically more demanding or it's mentally more demanding, all these things come into play. And then maybe just people don't really understand that. Now, I know most of the advanced people or even intermediate people probably do know this, but for people who just, never really thought about it before, they're just kind of like, I don't understand. I'm just working more. Why is this affecting my lifts? It's like, energy expenditure, stress.
Yeah, well, let's get
recovery.
into the legitimate answers and not just you have a shitty attitude, because some of us don't have a shitty attitude. Anthony's, I know he's serious. He's coming from a good place. He doesn't have a bad attitude about this. He just genuinely wants to get better, right? So take, for instance, like I am of this opinion. Other coaches might not be. You're a landscaper. You get up, you mow grass, and you weed eat. More than likely, you're a sitting mower or a stand-up mower. And your weed eating is probably the most difficult part of your job. Probably toting around a gas can, putting a new line on a weed eater. Like, those things are probably the most physical things you do, but you are actively on your feet and moving. You're stepping a lot. You have a lot of things. Well, a weed eater's not that heavy, neither is a can of gas. So you're not experiencing a lot of CNS fatigue, truthfully. you're working a manual labor job like that, I think I'm of the opinion a change in the time of day you work out could be beneficial, number one.
Mm-hmm.
And then two, I think any fatigue you're feeling from the actual manual labor portion of your job can be addressed with food and sleep.
I would say the only thing about that is working outside in like the heat is definitely a lot more stressful.
Yeah, you're going to have to adjust
body.
your water. That's part of your diet too.
Yeah.
Electrolytes are going to have to be up. Water's going to have to be up. But assuming that you have, you are responsible enough or your coach is responsible enough to address hydration, I think all your needs can be addressed with rest and diet.
Right.
Which includes hydration, in my opinion. If you are somebody if you're a brick mason, I don't know. If you are somebody that maybe does non-conveyable objects at a plant like Walmart or Target. If you're doing heavy lifting every day, that is real CNS fatigue. And then maybe we need to start looking at the aforementioned things like addressing hydration, diet, sleep, but also addressing a reduction in volume first before we move back intensity. And then if that doesn't work, a slight dial back in intensity.
Yeah.
But that's the order in which I would do things. Thinking about other things, construction is going to depend very, very heavily on what type of construction you're doing that day. I mean, if you're a general contractor, you might be doing anything from, mason work like brick mason, or you might be hanging sheetrock. You might be laying carpet. You might be doing, you might be framing a wall. Any number of things depending on what the job calls for that day. I would say the biggest thing that you can do is, again, address diet and sleep first. And then can you work out before your job starts? And that's what I would start with.
Yeah.
But I doubt very seriously that you're going to be in a situation where intensity and volume actually needs to be dialed back before those three things are addressed. I think those are the absolute hydration, sleep, and diet absolutely has to be addressed first before you start just half-assing it in the gym because you feel tired.
Yeah. And I would also say this is just something, and I do want your opinion on this too. My thought process for the manual labor jobs, I probably wouldn't even touch their, obviously, let's say they've got their food, their sleep, their hydration, everything's great. I wouldn't even touch their programming until, like, if they told me, well, I'm tired and stuff, I'd be like, well, give it a week. See if you adapt.
Yeah, absolutely. You gotta have to give yourself time to adapt to diet, water, and sleep before.
And then maybe another week goes. Well, I'm still feeling pretty tired. Okay, well,
probably taking it volume from accessory work before I do burn out for the record.
Yeah, take a little away from the accessory work. See what happens. They feel good, run with it. If they don't, then you kind of start looking at other things, right?
Yeah.
So you start looking at, well, if reducing their total volume specifically from accessory work just isn't working, let's scale back. I would say probably one set on the total MRV, maybe 1 to 2 sets on the total MRV from their competition list or whatever variation they're at the time, and just kind of see how that, just kind of feel it out. If that doesn't work, if they're on a percentage base, I would just put them back on the same volume and put them on RPE of something, because that way they can kind of feel it out and be like, well, I'm really tired today because I hung sheetrock today, so bench press is going to fucking suck.
My shoulders are wore out.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. And then, but maybe if they're intuitive enough, maybe they're like, well, my upper body's shot for whatever reason.
Let's just swap.
Let's just do legs today. Let's do our squat day today instead of our bench press. Yeah. Just things like that.
You have to,
can adjust.
As a coach, and I think Joe would tell you this, and you've worked with enough people, maybe you know this, but it's hard to trust a beginner to intermediate or even an advanced intermediate with RPE, any type of auto regulation.
Yeah.
It's really, really hard to trust them with that. So I would go back and I would double down on what I said. I would address those things, the diet, hydration, and sleep first, and the time of the day and the working out, and see if we can't get it right with that before we made any adjustments, just simply because the likelihood of you getting, most clients are going to be beginner to intermediate, truthfully. The likelihood of you getting an honest answer about RPE or any type of auto-regulated system, probably slim to none.
That's fair.
With most people, to be honest with you.
Yeah, if you're looking at it from a standpoint of...
You've done enough RPE training to know this too. Like when I was with Ron, I did this. I'm really bad about judging my own RPE. I can feel like something feels like a fucking 11 and go back and watch it on camera and it was a 7.
Yeah.
Like, I know RPEs feel base, but when coach sees that, he's going to say that was a 7. You should have tried harder.
Yeah.
Like, very rarely is rate of perceived exertion actually what you perceive it to be. Most of the time, it's a little bit better.
Yeah.
You're performing a little bit better than you think you are.
That's fair. I will say this, though. And
unless
this
you're maybe somebody like Joe, you're pro and you're really dialed into that.
Yeah.
You know?
One thing about RPE that is interesting for me is that, you know, I can go and I experienced this today, as a matter of fact, which is probably why it's fresh on my mind. Now I'm doing machine press, right? So it's low CNS fatigue. It's mostly just pushing the weight, right?
Yeah.
Focusing on the push. That's what
Yeah.
Joe said, focus on the push. So first set of 12, I think, super easy, right? Nothing. Second set of 12, super easy. I'm like, well, 2 sets in a row, super easy. I'm going to throw 20 more pounds on there. Immediately just fucking stalled. And it's just like, okay, well, I went from an RPE 6 to an RPE 6 to an RPE like 9. And I'm like, because I put 20 pounds on there? No, because I'm fatigued. Because
Yeah.
I'm worn out. So I took the 10s off there. And just another RP like 10. I like barely pushed the last rep. Maybe a 9. I'm probably being a little too I'm exaggerating a little bit, but like probably like an RPE 9 because it was extremely tough to get the last rep. So it changes from set to set too.
For sure.
So that's just another thing to keep in mind when you're doing RPE.
You can't expect the same weight to be RPE 9 for 4 sets.
Yeah.
I guess you're probably gonna have to take weight off the bar,
especially if you're working with a high RPE rating, like an RPE 9, which I think I was supposed to be
legitimately probably anything 7.5 or higher is probably gonna be pretty unreliable by the time you get to your third or fourth set. Yeah, exactly.
So you can either do that, scale that by going heavy and then reducing weight as you go, or you can, you know, start at a lower weight because you know you're going to end at an RPE 9.
Now, most of my RPE training in my experience has been my top set was an RPE 9, 8.5 to a 10, depending on where in prep I was. Right. And then drop sets were at like a 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And I might even get more reps, so it's even less load.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, you know, it takes even more weight off the bar. But, you know, I know a lot for like me and Ron, a lot of times I would have like my top set would be a set of 1 to 5, and my drop sets to be 5 to 10 reps.
Yeah.
So not only is an RPE 7 now, but I also have to accommodate the fact that I have to do 10 reps with it. So I'm instead of taking 20 pounds off the bar, I'm taking a plate off the bar.
Right.
you know what I mean? So
maybe more depending on where
maybe
you're at.
Depending on where I'm at. You know, I'm really bad at volume on squats and deadlifts. So, you know, if we're talking about that big of a, you know, we talk about 100-pound difference in my lift probably, you know, between my top set and my drop sets.
Yeah.
Legitimately. So, you know, that depends on your program a little bit too. I am of the belief that most people, I don't even trust myself with auto regulation enough. I'm of the opinion that most people aren't going to actually be able to auto regulate it to the degree you want them to.
Yeah.
I think, you know, if they're on a volume block, if they're on off season, I'm more likely to use reps and reserve. And I know people are going to roll their eyes and say this is basically the same thing, but I'm more likely to use reps and reserve for auto regulation purposes because I feel like people are a little bit more in tuned or a little bit more better able to say, I'm almost at my limit, let's stop. They're a little bit more honest about it than, I'm afraid if I give somebody an RPE of 9, they're going to grind out a fucking 10.5 somehow and be like, oh, this is a 9. Or they're going to give me a 6 and be like, this was a 9. But if you actually have to go within 1 or 2 reps of failure, I feel like they're a little bit more
honest that way.
A little bit more honest that way.
That's fair.
And I still would be pretty fucking sketched out by giving them an RIR on their barbell stuff.
Yeah. No, I mean that's fair. I don't think that's very common anymore for barbell stuff. I think that's mostly accessories.
I'll be honest too. Barbell stuff, I don't know how other coaches do it, but personally there's your 1 rep max that you hit when the stars aligned and you had a really good day on the platform. And then there's your gym 1 rep max. I'm more likely to use a gym 1 rep max. And when I say gym 1 rep max, I'm not talking about the best you've ever done in the gym. I'm talking about something that you can go in and hit. It's probably more like a 2 or 3 rep max on a good day.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm talking about something you can go in and probably hit with the flu.
Yeah.
I'm more likely to program off of a 1 rep max. So my linear if I'm doing percentage based stuff and I have some type of linear progression, is much more likely to be your 85% is probably much more likely to be a 77.5 to 80% lift than it is actual 85.
Right.
Sense. So I'm already, you don't know it, but I'm already auto regulating you.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know, better athletes. I've seen better athletes get a little pissed off at me for that, but then it pay off when they say, you know what, I had a long day at work, so I sure am glad we used a training 1 rep max instead of a platform 1 rep max. So I mean, it generally shakes out in the end, to be honest with you. I mean, I do like, I don't use Shako like Russian style programming anymore, but I do like something that Boris Shako said is that your 1 rep max improves and your technique improves with accumulated reps over 80%.
Yeah.
Even if they're singles, like the higher quality of the rep is over 80%, the better you're at. So if we're basically just saying anything 80, he's basically saying anything 80% or heavier is enough CNS, is enough change on your CNS, is enough stimulus, I should say, on your CNS to get you to grow your 1 rep max, that I'm not particularly worried about using a training max versus I'm not. And I'll be honest with you, with men, it's a lot different. And I think you've probably experienced this on deadlift and bench because those are your stronger ones. I've certainly experienced this on deadlift, especially. There are some days I can go in the gym and can't hit 90% of my deadlift. Like it's an absolute, just mind-numbing amount of weight. There are days I can come in and not hit 90% of my bench.
Yep.
Women are a little bit more adapted. They probably can, you know, on a bad day, they can come in and hit probably 95. But like, when you start getting strong as a man, it's hard to consistently hit 90% of your 1 rep max.
Yeah.
That shit sucks. I mean, that's, you know, that's what that's probably a 380, 390 pound press for you right now, which I know on paper is an easy press, but like, if you're not peaked, not prepared for it, you had a bad day at work, that can be a shitty fucking press. I know you've had training days that way.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like where this is theoretically easy
Super
on paper.
easy, yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, this sucks. So that's the reason I'm okay with using a training 1 rep max.
Yeah, specifically talking about that. There was when I came back from the beach, I was supposed to hit 565 for 8, and I got it for 1, and it was rough. It hurt. Like it was extremely challenging. And I said,
but everything about your program said you should have been able to pull 565.
Yeah, absolutely. Should have been super easy. Should have been, well, not super easy. It should have been like an RPE 9, maybe 9.5, like at worst case scenario. That wasn't the case. I didn't have it that day.
It was
and,
like an RPE -9 or something.
It was beyond the scale of RPE at that point. It was your fatigue and your diet has been so bad. Like maybe you slept a lot, sure, because you were on vacation. You didn't have to wake up.
But your diet was fried food and alcohol. I know because I had the same diet.
Yeah. So my diet when I came in, it was garbage, and like I had missed a bunch of days. I only went to the gym like 1 day out of that week or something. I don't remember. I know I did my bench at the beach, and that went well somehow. I was alcohol fueled, and I still managed to bang out 365 for 8. But when I went to deadlift when I got home, it wasn't there. It just was not. The squat was, I think I did the squats too. And the squat I got like for 5, and I was like shot. And then the deadlift for 1, and I was like, it's just not there. Man, I mean, it just goes to show you, I mean, you're just going to have good and bad training days. But I wonder too, talking about this topic in particular, how many of these people just don't expect a bad training day? You're not going to hit every training day of your block. You're not. If you hit every training day of your block, you're either doing something stupid or it's not tough enough. Yeah.
And there's plenty of times in this prep with Ron, the strongest I've ever been, that I didn't even break my deadlift I was given that day. Ended up being the best deadlifter I've ever been. You know, I didn't get to show it because I got hurt, but still, you know what I mean? It's like, I had whole days where I couldn't even break the floor, break the weight I was supposed to lift off the floor. So, I mean, I wouldn't say I had a lot of them, but there was probably 3 to 6 days where it was just like, can't fucking do this.
Your fatigue was too high, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't know. So, I mean, I don't know that. Certainly, my diet can always be better. I can definitely say that about myself. But I think if you're unwilling to address those 3 major components first, or 4, hydration, your diet, the time of the day you're lifting, and your sleep, then don't come to me complaining about the program.
Mm-hmm.
If all 4 of those things are addressed and you can confidently tell me that you're sleeping, 6 is a lot of hours of sleep for some people. I know it's not ideal, but if you're sleeping 6 to 8 hours, if you're hitting your macros and your calorie count at a very minimum, your calories, you're drinking your gallon of water every day, and you've been willing to adjust your schedule, then we can talk about a reduction in volume and intensity. But until then, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
I don't.
I mean, I think that makes sense though, right? Because you need your athlete to do everything right before you can say the program's wrong. Because if the athlete isn't doing everything right, obviously there's room for improvement there.
I don't want to say the program don't mean shit, because there's good and bad programs out there.
Mm-hmm.
But we've discussed before on this podcast, the best program is the one that you can stick to.
Yeah.
So we know that to be true. The consistency is the most important part, right? So if you're not willing to address everything surrounding training, then don't blame the fucking training.
Yeah.
You can't do that. I know I'm a shitty powerlifter because I eat fucking McDonald's every week and a borderline alcoholic, and I don't always sleep well. You don't have to tell me that. I know that as a coach that these are my issues. If I had a coach right now, and I'm sure that in the future when I go back to Ron, he'll address those things with me. If I'm not actively addressing those things, he's not going to want to hear me bitch about his program.
Mm-hmm.
It's not his program. It's me. It is you long before it's the program.
Yeah.
If you haven't gone down that list, you can't blame what the coach is writing for you.
Yeah.
Period. Because the coach has only written it off of information that you have given him.
Right.
You've done this in the gym, this in the gym, just this in the gym, and you've done these 3 things on the platform. He's basing it off of somewhere in between those 2 components, your platform things and your gym things.
Mm-hmm.
And then whatever you've told him your lifestyle is like, if you've been dishonest about that, that's your fault. If you haven't lived up to the expectations that you set yourself and told your coach that you lived up to, if you haven't lived up to those things, it's your fault. It's not your coach's fault. It's not your program's fault. There's no parameter in Juggernaut that you can change that say, hey, I went on a 3-day bender and have been, I have a 6-day hangover from my 3-day bender. There's no parameter in that is going to adjust it out. I mean, there's not. It's you. Fix you. Period. You know what I mean? Don't bitch at me until you've done those 4 things. Yeah. And that's not to say that I won't help you do those things. Of course I'll help you do those things. But if you're unwilling to address those things, then adjustment in a program is just not going to fucking help.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess the end result of that, right, is if you're unwilling to adjust the things around the program and you just want to change the program, you're not willing to do what it takes to get where you want to get. Right?
Yeah, or you're just fucking bored and you're being a fucking punk about it. I've been there. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. You know what I mean? I can get bored of the program faster than anybody. Okay, this fucking sucks.
I guess my mindset is much different in the fact that I can be extremely monotonous to the same thing all the time, and it just.
I wish I could do that with food. My problem is food with that. I don't want to eat the same fucking thing every day. It's a hard thing for me. It is. It's just hard. I mean, I'll be honest. But programming, if I'm doing my own programming, yeah, I get bored of it and I overanalyze and I want to change it and shit like that. But that's the reason why I don't currently have a coach. That's the reason I'm using RP. RP tells me what to do. I just go and execute it. If it's boring, it's boring. I get to change it next block. No big deal. With Ron, I feel dedicated when I'm with a coach, especially with Ron. Something about Ron he brings a lot of good things out in me. He really does. He does he's really talented at bringing the best out in people. Ron's just somebody. If you know him, he's a very kind person. He has a kind face. He's just somebody. It's like letting your mom down. He's just somebody you just don't want to let down.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's easy to make. I'm not going to bitch about my program Ron gives me because, first of all, I paid the man. I trust him, and second of all, who wants to let a motherfucker like that down?
Yeah.
It's simple, right? But whatever mindset gets you there. But you got to address a lot of things before you can address a program.
Yeah, just going back on that a little bit, just thinking about my first week with Joe, there was so many days where I was like, fuck, I can't be a pussy in front of Joe Sullivan.
This may be the single greatest powerlifter on the planet today. I cannot fucking be.
Yeah. I can't just like
if he's not the best powerlifter, he probably is the best coach. You cannot be a bitch in front of this man.
Yeah, I was just like, I was looking at the program, I was like, fuck, that's a lot of stuff. And I'd like message him and I'd be like, yeah. And I'd just because of work, I'd be like, I gotta go before work, and I'd be like, I stretched time as much as I could. I got everything I could done. I couldn't get all of it done. And every single time I do that, I'm like, just letting this guy down, like not being able to do all this shit in a timely manner, not being able to get up a little bit earlier to be able to go and get all this stuff done. It is like different when you have a coach, because it's like, I don't want to let this dude down that like trusts me to do this work, and I'm trusting him to make me better.
Yeah.
Like there's a mutual like exchange there, and you don't want to let you feel like either way, like somebody is let down. And it sucks.
You damn right it does. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know you're kind of on a national based team, right? Because Joke has, clients all over the place. Mm-hmm. But Ron's a local guy, or he's as local as you're going to get in Alabama, right? Like, so I have this feeling of not only am I going to let Ron down, but I have teammates I'm going to let down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I'm not going to live up to Ron's standards, then I'm not living up to 20 other people's standards too. Mm-hmm. That fucking sucks, because they're going to do it. They're going to go live up to the standard. And that's part of the reason why I went and finished a meet on a fucking bum leg. Mm-hmm. Like, well, fuck, these other people, he's got 6 other lifters here. Like, they're all going to finish. Mm-hmm. Like, they probably didn't even have as good of a prep as I had. I don't know what their prep looked like. Right. They may be stronger, they may be weaker. I don't know. I really don't know those people, honestly. But I know at that point in time, we've made the same commitment to the same man, and we're all in it together, and I'm a team, whether I like it or not, and I do like it. I don't want to let these people down either. I sure as shit ain't gonna fucking. Now, not only am I not gonna bitch out in front of Ron and my peers, now I have all this brand new set of peers and these new teammates of mine that I don't want to fucking let down either.
Yeah.
Like, I guess, the mindset that I need to change personally is that if I'm not doing the hydration, the sleep, the diet, and the change in schedule before I go in, that's in a way you're letting your coach and your peers down, your teammates down too. Yeah. Even if you're not showing up, my example was specifically on meet day, but maybe I really let those people down months before then, when I didn't want to follow a diet and didn't want to eat right and didn't want to do things as good as I could have.
Right.
So, that's a perspective too. Like, I think everybody has this like kind of a shallow view of powerlifting, that it is an individual sport, because you do compete in as an individual, but it very rarely is that actually the case.
Right.
Yeah, like, I know I don't coach you anymore. Joe coaches you. But in a way, when you go in November and compete, you're still representing me and Austin and Sandy and Elizabeth and all the other people that are in your corner all the time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, and going there, I have these goals, I want to set every single state record, clean sweep everything that meet, which I unless something goes horribly wrong in prep or on meet day, I feel like 2 of those 3 are, maybe even 3 of those 3 are guaranteed. It's really just a squat that's up in the air at this point. But, if let's say, I don't know, something does go wrong and I compete and I just somehow just don't do what I've set out to do, I know that not only am I be disappointed in myself, and I know nobody's going to say they're disappointed in me, and they're not going to be disappointed in me, but I'm going to be disappointed in myself more because I let everyone down, because I have these goals. And
because
I've told
it is
everybody.
A team sport too.
Yeah, I've told everybody these goals, and everybody is supporting me in getting there. It's I have to say this specifically, Desi is supporting me more than probably anyone else, because we're going to have a baby soon. It could be any day now. She
hasn't slowed you down at all.
She's just like, just go do it. She's always telling me positive things. She's never doubting me. She's like really just like there for me every step of the way. So, and we're going to have the baby up there. It's going to be like a really special thing.
Yeah.
Like I can't go down there and just like screw up and like in front of my child.
Right.
Like this
Well,
is gonna be her first thing with powerlifting. Is it gonna be me going out there and just being like, sorry, baby, I couldn't do it. I'm just a bitch. Like, no.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that's an interesting part of this too, right? Because both of us are about to be dads. You a little bit sooner than me, but I want my kid to know that she can do anything she wants to do. I also want her to know how incredibly difficult it is to actually achieve and actually being able to do whatever it is that you want to do.
It's not just
I want to see her.
to
I want to see the work. I don't want her dad to be somebody that half-asses things and does it halfway. And that's something I'm really trying to change in myself before she gets here. Is I'm bad about doing things halfway.
Yeah.
A lot of things in my life I've done halfway. Music I did halfway because I have this weird starving artist mentality that like I don't really want to play in a cover band. I could pay my bills doing that. Probably make a much better living playing music than I do as a powerlifting coach. But I don't want to do it because it bores me to. It bores me to do that. Well, that's a fucking kind of a selfish fucking attitude. I could be playing for a living right now. You know what I mean? Very easily could be playing for a living right now. I'm like, that kind of sucks, right? Well, Dad's a powerlifting coach, but he's a mediocre powerlifter because he's only half in on everything he does. I don't want my kid to go back and think of me like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's bad enough that, I know that y'all probably appreciate that I'm very aware of my problems and stuff like that, but it's bad enough that I don't live up to the expectations I expect out of you guys. In fact, I am my own worst client. I'm the worst client that I have. But I sure as shit don't want to do that to my kid. So like, there is an aspect, if you're a family person, if your family's not helping you level up, just the fact that they're there and going to be involved in things and going to see you do it should be enough to level you up. If it's not, you're doing something wrong too. Yeah. I definitely want my kid to know that she can do anything that she sets out to do. Yeah. As long as she does the work that's required. Right now, Dad isn't doing the work that's required.
Right.
And I don't want to be that example. I don't want to be a bad example to my kid. So, that's another thing too. I mean, I think as a personal trainer first and a powerlifting coach second, kids are using the excuse to not be in the gym a lot of the time. But I think when you think about the legacy that you're leaving behind for your kid, the importance of physical fitness, taking care of yourself, eating correctly, and also the unbelievably large value you get from being a goal setter and being disciplined and working toward a goal are incredible gifts to anybody that witnesses you, but especially your kids. And you want to use them as an excuse to not do it anyway. It's a really piss poor excuse. Yeah.
I can agree.
I think I'm doubling down on that now, more now that I know that I'm going to be a dad.
Yeah.
Like I want to achieve these things more than ever because of her. I don't want to stop pursuing them because she's coming.
Right.
I want to dig in and be even better because she's coming. You know what I mean? So yeah, I do think that's a weak excuse too. So it goes back to our original conversation. If you're not willing to adjust your time, your schedule for the goals that you want, but your children are going to see you either achieve or not achieve, that's a you problem, man. Not your program.
Yeah. Can't really add anything to that.
That's pretty much encapsulates it, man. The whole thing. I mean, I don't want to be a bitch in front of my kid either.
Yeah.
We're girl dads too, so it's real important we don't be a bitch in front of our
So,
we're going to be somebody, I think Elizabeth told me, that we're setting the standard and we are her first example of what a man should be. And we have to set a high standard for that, because one day we're going to have a son-in-law that's either going to be a really good man or he's going to be a shithead. And regardless of what he is, it'll be our fault.
Yeah. That makes sense too.
You know what I mean? Yeah. In some way, not completely, but in some way, it'll be our fault if that person's not a good man.
Yeah.
So that's pretty fucking intimidating.
Yeah.
Honestly, we have to set the standard real fucking high for that reason. You know what I mean? Because my daughter's going to look at me and say, this is exactly what a man should look like and how, I should be treated because he treats my mom well. He achieves the things he wants to achieve. He achieves for me. He achieves, in every, he just pisses fucking excellence everywhere he goes. And it doesn't have to be true, but that needs to be her view of me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I want. You know what I mean? So
no, yeah,
it is what it is.
I can agree with that. There's something about, setting a certain standard, because
Yeah.
like you think about all the people with, it's the memes, but but like daddy issues, right? Like
Yeah.
dad wasn't there, so they don't know what a man is supposed to be like, or dad was abusive. They don't know anything different. It's like that's just how things are.
Yeah.
Right. So it is interesting to think about it that way. Just like you are the standard bearer. You are the bar, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to show what it means to be a man.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be the first and last example to that person of what a real man is.
Yeah.
So you gotta live up to that.
Yeah.
Not saying if you're having a boy, if anybody's listening to have a boy, it's the same standard. It really
Right.
is. Because then you're setting a standard of what they should live up to be and
Mm-hmm.
how they should treat women and how they
Yeah.
should treat their own lives and stuff like that. But sure as shit as a girl dad, man, it's a fucking rough world. And I want my little girl to be able to spot a shithead a mile away.
Yeah.
You know what I
Just
mean?
be like, avoid, block.
Yeah, absolutely.
just
I don't
like
want it to
not-
be a fucking issue.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
wave, definitely the mindset is I know you've played through this too before you found out you were having a girl, but like the mindset of being a girl dad, I know for a fact just from the thought process I've had from point A to where I'm at now and Sandy's pregnancy is dramatically different from boy to girl.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was thinking, boy dad, because I was, and I probably shouldn't say this in case it ever pops up, but I did want a boy, but I wanted a boy because I was like sports, training, like getting that father-son bond. There's something special about
Your
that.
little girl gets to do all that shit too, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. But it's also like more of a worry. It's just like, I'm going to be stressed out all the time when I don't know where she's at, because it's like, who is she? Where is she? Who is she with? What's she doing?
Right.
I'm going to do my best to not freak out all the time. But
Yeah, I mean, I think that I think our little girls are going to be perfectly capable of handling themselves. To be honest with you,
that's
not
the
that
hope.
they'll ever have to, probably, but
Well,
but,
I know my girl is going to be intimidating. God damn, she's going to be huge.
yeah, and Desi's pretty intimidating. I've always made jokes about
Prison shank.
Desi plotting my demise.
Yeah.
She's probably in there plotting it right now.
That's what she's doing. She's like washing dishes, but she's really thinking about stabbing people.
Every now and then, she just takes that prison shank and just like hits the
Shaves it a
whetstone
little
with
bit.
it and make sure it's sharp. Touches the end of it, puts it back, washes the dish.
Yeah. And just getting ready.
Just getting ready for me to walk out of the screen so she can disembowel me.
At this point, probably not, but maybe
Yeah,
early on.
If she hadn't killed me yet, she probably ain't going.
Yeah, early on maybe, but that's the way I feel about it too. But if I fuck up,
That's like say you got a lot more to live up to than I do, buddy.
Yeah.
Like, you have to live with her. You'll just
Yeah.
get fucking smothered in your sleep.
I don't think I'd get that lucky.
Make you suffer.
She'd bring home some shit from work and be like, "Here you go. You get this now. You get
Enjoy this little fucking cocktail
whatever."
of 16 hours of pain. Before you find it.
Yeah. It'd be something horrible, some sort of poison that slowly kills me.
But it is what it is. We love you, Desi. I'm sorry.
She doesn't unless
doesn't
she's
listen.
listening out there.
But maybe she won't kill us.
That's the hope.
That's the hope.
If she doesn't know about the life insurance policy.
It's probably void if she murders you.
It might be void. I don't know. My parents might still get it. I don't know how that
It
works.
doesn't benefit Desi if they get it.
No, it doesn't.
She has
Unless-
to make it look like an accident.
Unless she works with them, like, hey,
I mean,
I'm gonna take him out. You're gonna get some money. Give it to me.
that might be the case.
Who knows,
knows?
man? Who
You
knows?
never know what they have worked
Cons-
out.
Conspiracies.
Shit.
Well, I think we covered pretty much everything.
We did, yeah, absolutely.
If
drank
we
3/4
didn't,
of a bottle of whiskey. We doing dad jokes?
it was about half. It was pretty close to half. Yeah, we're doing dad jokes. We always do dad jokes. I saved some, and I don't know if
You
I'm gonna
saved
find-
some dad jokes?
I saved some, and I'm gonna see if I can find them, but I don't know if I can. Maybe I didn't save them. Let's see. I know I saw some good ones, and I was like, man, I just got to share this. And I probably shared it on Instagram in my story, and I will never find it. But we're going to go to Dad Says Jokes. That's my favorite. Oh, this was a good one. I saw this earlier today. So I have a fear of overly intricate buildings.
Okay.
It's a complex.
Pretty good.
I probably shouldn't say this one, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Go ahead.
I invited my girlfriend to go to the gym with me, and then I didn't show up. I hope she realized we're not working out.
Good one. Tomorrow, my son and I are going to get new glasses. After that, we'll see.
Awful.
Awful. This is actually could be me to some extent one day because I'm this big of a football fan. My wife just left me. She says my life revolves around football and she's sick of it. I'm pretty upset. We were together for 7 seasons.
I looked out the window and my dad was slumped over the lawnmower crying his eyes out. And I asked Mom, what's up with him? And he said, well, he's just going through a rough patch. I feel that. Push mowing is the worst. God, hate it.
Man. Somebody told me that my dad was gay. Now I'm trying to figure out which one it is.
So my mom died when we couldn't remember her blood type. As she died, she kept telling us be positive, but it's really hard without her. Oh, I think that's all I'm gonna.
Justice is a dish best served cold. If it were warm, it would just be water.
Yeah.
Time to go.
Rate us 5 stars on Spotify.
Make the cocktail. I posted the recipe on our Instagram.
Did you post the story?
I did. I posted the story.
Okay. So you have 24 hours to make the cocktail. Until we do something, whether we like compile a PDF or a full episode of cocktails. I think
we should do a PDF and sell these bitches. We're still gonna get real bored when 90% of them is some type of old fashioned
sip it and rip it cocktail book
menu.
old fashioned, rum old fashioned, peach old fashioned, coffee rum old fashioned,
old fashioned. So it's our big grandiose PDF of old fashions.
Well, maybe we should just title it "Sip It and Rip It Old Fashioned Book." Just like right on the it's literally just old fashioned.
We could print a hard copy and it would be really an old fashioned book.
That would be funny.
It would be.
That would be the dad joke of the podcast, wouldn't it?
It would be. Maybe if there were more than 20 of you, we would attempt to sell it, but I don't guess there's any reason to sell it.
Probably not.
No.
Not yet. Maybe one day.
$3.99 for right now.
$3.99. We'll just. I'm thinking, like, maybe every year, like I'll put out like a compilation of all of the drink recipes.
That'd be wise.
That'd be something. That'd be a free episode.
Be our Christmas gift to you guys.
We could do it on Christmas. Every Christmas we'll post an episode that is just drink recipes.
Also, since we're back filming all these, maybe we need themes.
Themes?
Yeah, maybe we need themes. We should dress up for these every time. We did the dinosaur and the cow costume one time.
Oh, that would cost so much money. If you guys want to donate some money, we have a PayPal.
So I have a lot of good flannels. We could do like, you remember when Daniel Tosh did the Prince Charming season?
Mm-mm.
It's PRINTS. And it was like all like dress shirts with certain prints on them.
No.
We could do something like that. No, I have a lot of shit like that though. I have all kind of printed dress shirts.
I don't.
You don't ever wear a dress shirt.
I wore a dress shirt for maternity pictures.
You sure did. That was once.
That was once.
That was one time.
I have worn them before. I have some in my closet. of the colors of black, white, and red.
I don't know if you want us to dress as multiply lifters or something, and have us try to sit down.
Have us try to pull our arms back. That's the most challenging part, right?
Grabbing our drink and pouring it to us. I don't know.
I don't know if we could stretch like this at that point.
Maybe we should limit that to holidays, like prior to a holiday. Like we missed out on 4th of July. Well, next week we could do a 4th of July episode.
Yeah.
To be America themed. I could dress like a turkey for Thanksgiving.
Man, you're talking a lot of stuff that I don't know if I agree with.
That's fair.
I'm just like, so this is random, but just because you said 4th of July, there's like a flag onesie in there that we have for 4th of July. And I'm
There
like,
you go. I mean, I would do it in a heartbeat. Even if it's just me. Y'all can put me up to something.
Hey, listen, I'm never going to tell you that there is a dress code. Just that you have to be dressed.
Well, one of our listeners would be like, Zach needs to show up in the Borat singlet.
Hell yeah. I mean, from
Or the Bruno
here.
singlet. Is it Bruno? It's Bruno.
It was Bruno. Yeah. But, table blocks out, the lower half, so.
It wouldn't matter anyway. My shit's only the size of my thumb, so it wouldn't matter. I can get everything perfectly into that Bruno singlet.
A roll of pennies.
Oh, like half a roll of pennies.
Half a roll of pennies. Just a whole dime.
Just one whole dime.
One dime.
Yep.
I feel that.
It is what it is. Well, my track record, by the way, me and Sandy just celebrated 16 years together. So
Damn.
Let me just say the track record says once you go Zach, you never go back.
Hey.
Facts. 16 years.
It's a long time.
time.
It's a long time.
Hopefully I don't get traded in next week. Make me eat those words.
Like, I was listening to the podcast the other day and I
It really
decided.
got me thinking.
Like, maybe there's something else out there. That would be the worst conversation to have.
That would be a bad day.
That would be a bad day.
I have to rethink my vision board.
Just kind of like, I didn't think that one through. All right.
If you know my luck.
Well, rate us 5 stars on Spotify. Follow us on Instagram at Sip and Rip It. And
Make the cocktail.
Make the cocktail.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's
Bye.
it. That's it.
Bye.